What's up YouTube? Today we're going to look at everything you need to know about playing harmonics on any stringed instrument. Before I get into any detail, this does work on any stringed instrument. What we're going to do first is go through the principles so that you understand why it's happening. Once we understand that, we'll apply it to the guitar, and then very shortly after you'll understand why it works for every single instrument that has a string on it. The differences between wind, I simply just don't know enough about. I know it's going to be based off the same stuff, I just don't know how to apply the information. Last week I did a video on the Harmonic Series, which is really important as well. It just kind of goes through more of the history. This one's a bit more practical. So do watch that if you haven't seen it already, but strap yourself in and let's get started. First thing to know is this image. Screw it, you get the black screen instead. First line represents a string being played from the bridge to the nut. As you can imagine, where a string is touching the bridge, it is not moving. Same goes for the nut. And right in the middle here, the string is swinging at its widest. This is technically known as the first harmonic. This is because the whole string is only swinging up and down once. The second line represents the second harmonic. You notice directly in the middle that the string intersects with itself. This point is exactly stationary. So you've got a stationary point at the nut, at the middle, and at the bridge. It is acting as another bridge or nut, but it has to have the string swing either side. This point is called a node, N-O-D-E. It is very important. Keep that in mind. So this is where harmonics start getting interesting. So what we find, the string is effectively divided into two equal-sized half strings. And for that reason, it is twice the pitch or one octave above. When you strike this harmonic, the two halves of the string vibrate in different directions. So to put this easily into words, if we imagine the left and the right part of the string, when the left is going up, the right is going down, equal and exactly the opposite of the left. Moving on, here's the third harmonic, represented by three moving parts with two nodes. Its frequency is 3 times that of the first harmonic, and equally, as mentioned above, the third harmonic will divide into thirds. So with that, I'm pretty sure you can guess what is expected for the rest of the string, so we will move on. On this new image, we've got the respective frets for the harmonics. If you play a harmonic on any of these frets, you will achieve that harmonic. So here's the 12th fret. Here you can see the 7th and the 19th have exactly the same sound, and so on. The only thing to point out is when these nodes line up, they will opt for the simplest harmonic. For example, you see the 4th harmonic. It has a node on the 5th, the 12th, and the 24th fret, but only the 5th and the 24th will work to play that harmonic. You'll never get the 4th harmonic from playing the 12th fret because physics will make you its bitch and opt for the lazy solution, giving you the 2nd harmonic. Before we get into examples, I just want to clear some things up here, and this is distances between harmonics. So let's take the 3rd harmonic for example here. The distance between the nut and the first node is exactly the same as the distance between the first node and the second node, and then again the second node and the nut. It doesn't matter where your frets are on your instrument. If for whatever manufacturing error that is thrown out of whack, your harmonics will always fall at the same divisions of the string. I am in E standard, just in case you need to know. To play the 2nd harmonic, gently rest your finger over the 12th fret. I am only just touching it. Okay, you pluck the string and you move your finger away from the string. Moving your finger away from the string allows the string to resonate more clearly. You do that, you get better harmonics. You can leave it there if you want, but the note will stop resonating more quickly than if you take your finger away. And the reason for that is because your fingers are too fat. In this next clip, just take a moment to notice how gently I am touching the strings. When I was resting my finger on the fretboard, I was literally resting my finger on the fretboard, and the fat in my finger was just ever so gently touching the string, which is what caused the harmonic. When I say be gentle with the harmonic, I mean you've got to just feel it. It is the tiniest thing. And just to be clear, from now on, when I'm calling out frets, for example, the 12th fret, I'm talking about hovering over the exact fret wire, okay? So you put your finger resting just over that. I'm not talking about resting over the 11th fret. I'm not talking about resting over the 13th. I'm talking about resting over the 12th. Okay, now we've got that out of the way, give that a shot at the 7th fret. Now do it at the 19th fret. If you've done that correctly, then those two notes should sound exactly the same, because once again, these are the different nodes on the same harmonic. Okay, now give it a shot over the 5th and the 24th fret. If you're like me with this guitar, you've only got 22 frets, just guess where the 24th is. When you get good at guessing, you'll know where it is every single time. So when we play this 12th fret harmonic, this is how gently I hit it. 7th fret, 19th, 5th, 24th. Be gentle. And now we've reached the part of the tutorial where you get the insider secret that, music industry moguls are trying to keep from the masses, which no one is, but, a lot of people don't know this, which is kind of surprising. Here are where nodes become really important. So what I'm going to give you the example of is if I'm playing the 4th harmonic on the 5th fret here, it's going to sound every single time unless I'm playing over a node. So for example, so whenever your harmonics aren't working, it's because you're playing over a node. Okay, that's all there is to keep in mind. This will become more and more apparent the higher in the harmonics you go. So for example, the increments of the string are getting smaller and smaller every single time. It's more likely that your pick is striking on a node. The higher the harmonic, the shorter the distances, the more likely you are to be playing on a node. If you avoid playing on a node, then fine. And the simplest way to get around that is the higher you go, just play closer to the bridge, because you'll hit it every single time, okay? That's pretty much all you need to know about playing natural harmonics. An interesting side note that you can experiment with here is sliding the harmonics. So what you do is, the sound is pretty interesting, and I haven't found a way to make it consistent. I've never really used it in any of my writing, but it's something to definitely worth playing with. So if we grab the 5th fret here, you place it down and you slide it up, you hear how that tone was slightly different than if I just feel the higher harmonics more pronounced. Effectively what's happening is we're grabbing it, we're making everything beyond this node dead, and everything above it doesn't realize that one of their friends has died, and then we're just sliding it up. So these nodes are naturally just kind of squeezing smaller and smaller. Once again, it is inconsistent, and it's a pretty subtle thing to do, but it's definitely worth exploring. Be gentle, it'll happen. Now, keep in mind that with the higher the harmonic you play, the quieter it will be, okay? So just play around. I do actually recommend using more distortion for this type of thing. Your amps compress and put more gain into the sound, so you get a much more even signal coming through. If you're doing this on clean, you're going to think that you're failing harmonics when you're getting them. So just use a bit more distortion. And now we're going to actually step up the interest levels of what's happening with harmonics. So the reason why the first chart is more important than the second chart is because if we understand the first chart, we understand that we can fret anywhere and the harmonics still apply the same. So the second harmonic on the G string is the 12th fret. If we have our finger on the 5th fret, everything applies exactly the same, except it's moved up 5 frets. So for example, instead of the second harmonic being at the 12th fret, it's now going to be at the 17th fret. Just remember, it's not about being over which fret, it's about the division of the string as a whole. At the moment, the whole length of the string is from the 5th fret to the bridge. All I'm doing here is I'm just placing my index finger and picking with my thumb. Same principle, everything still works. You can do some really cool things with this, and all I'm doing here, and of course you can play around with the different harmonics. So we've got the equivalent of the 12th fret here, 7th, 5th, whatever you want. It's all just to play around. Now for an example, I'm just going to play some 12th fret stuff, just a little melody. If you've got your little melody and you've just played it up there, it's going to sound beautiful, going to sound very interesting, and not many people play like that. Just a bit of fun. Play with it. And this works on any single fret. Just play around with it. Open your mind to that type of stuff. It expands your instrument massively. And interestingly, this outlines all you need to know about pinch harmonics too, except it kind of goes in reverse to what I've been saying about not playing on the node. So when we're playing natural harmonics, we block the node and then we let the other part of the strings resonate. When we're playing a pinch harmonic, we want to hit the string with the pick and then quickly block the string with our thumb. So, okay? And all you need to do is just get used to where it is. Just feel it out. And I do recommend playing it like that. You just choose one spot, choose one fret, move things as little as you can. When you're used to that, change the fret. Once again, use a lot of distortion with this so that you can hear all the sounds resonating. So when I play normally, get my fingers out of the way so you can see it. That's how much of the pick I'm using when I'm doing a pinch harmonic. I'm literally just twisting and hitting with the pick and pressing with my thumb straight after. So to break it up into two motions, you pick and then you press with your thumb. To break it up into one, you just basically twist, you hit with the pick, and as your pick is passing the string, your thumb hits the harmonic. That's all you need to do for pinch harmonics. Play around with the pinch harmonics at first on the D and G strings, and then when you're comfortable with that, expand out so that you get more familiar with it. They're just kind of a bit easier to get on there. And pretty much there you have it. That's all you need to know about harmonics. Mostly it is just playing around, and effectively what you've got to remember is that you've got to stop the string at the node, but you can't also play on the node, otherwise there will be no sound. To break it down into a simple analogy, learning harmonics is just like when you start having sex. It's better to be gentle and play around than it is to go too hard and give yourself a rash. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you hated it, please give it a dislike. Just know that if you dislike it, YouTube will flag you as the worst person on the internet. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will get to them. If it's a great question, I will make a video about it. If you haven't subscribed, please do so already. Thank you all and enjoy.